Tusks up, Utah Mammoth fans. Welcome into another Utah Mammoth Daily. Andy Strickland is reporting that the Utah Mammoth are going to match the offer sheet from the New Jersey Devils for Barrett Hayton. And it may have already happened by the time this video is posted, basically tomorrow from when I'm recording this. And all I have to say to this is please no, 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 no. Just no. Look, Barrett Hayton is a solid player. He's not worth that much money. And he's not worth that much money when you cannot move him and he just goes to unrestricted free agency anyway. Most of Barrett Hayton's value right now to Utah is in a role of potential and trade. That's what his value was to the team before all of this offer sheet business happened. So my message to Bill Armstrong and crew, let him go. Let him go. You've got youth in the organization, right? Youth that you want to see if they can handle it in the NHL. You got Caleb Desnoyers and Gabe Smith that jump to mind immediately that also play the center position. Let's have them come up and fill that role. Let Barrett Hayton go. Let him go. For that cap hit and for what he brings, it's replaceable. It is. It's replaceable. And getting a second-round pick back, that's more than I would have hoped for. So, please, just no. Like, it would be the blight of an otherwise pretty stellar offseason for the Utah Mammoth if they were to do this. Obviously, no, you cannot have too many centers on your roster. Utah proved that last season. But just let him go. Just let him go. The stupid penalties he takes in crunch time, the fact that he's always not always, but it feels like in big moments he's in the wrong spot. And obviously, Andre Tourigny doesn't have that much faith in him because he kept bumping him down the lineup. And then the very foolish decision to put him on PP1, I don't know. I just feels like it's time to just part ways. Shake hands and part ways, please. Oh, man. But free agents, let's talk about those. So, obviously, the big one was Anders Lee, both literally and figuratively. And then also got Andrew Peeke and Kevin Stenlund added to the roster. So Peeke is more of a defenseman blue line depth signing. I don't anticipate too much from him along the lines of a Nick DeSimone sort of situation for Utah. And Kevin Stenlund, we all know what Stenner can do. It was a Stenner stunner when he re-signed with Utah. I'm so stoked to have him back. Whether he's a 4C or a 3C, doesn't matter to me. I'm just happy that the Swede is back in the lineup. And he will be that crucial PK1 center. He's a big piece of the PK when it comes to Utah. So having him back in the lineup is huge. There's not enough reporting on that. I'm very pleased having Kevin Stenlund back. But having Anders Lee come in, it's more leadership. It's a big-bodied guy. It's a guy who will go and drive to the net. That's something that we heard endlessly last season from the broadcast, for breaking down the team and stuff like that. Not enough guys driving the net, too many floating around. So Utah got Vincent Trocheck and they got Anders Lee to, do that and get in front of the net, make it messy, make it harder for goalies to do their job. And that is great. That's great news. And Bill Armstrong, Chris Armstrong, and the assistant GM, scouts, coaches, they all saw the same thing, and they went out and they did what they could to address it. And getting the guys that they got, absolutely wonderful. So getting Anders Lee, I think, is going to be a big addition for this team, not just for what he will do on the ice, but the locker room as well as off the ice. And obviously, Kevin Stenlund, we all know what Stenlund can do. I'm very pleased with him coming back. I know I say that a lot, but he is one of the unheralded guys on this team that needs to be heralded a lot more because PK1, he takes those assignments, he takes the overtime face-off and just sprints off the ice. Like, he's a teammate's teammate. And so having those guys on the roster, huge. But is Utah becoming a free agent destination? That is the question that's kind of floating around certain circles. And it's fair to ask when you get a guy like Anders Lee. Now, I am saying a lot about him. This is a pretty weak free agent class, although you wouldn't guess it with how much money was spent. But getting somebody like that, coming from a huge market like New York, over to Utah, of his own volition, like it wasn't a trade, I think that might herald some good stuff coming down the pipe when it comes to free agency. Now, free agency probably won't have any massive classes for a while. As the spending ramps up, contracts get bigger. We'll see eventually some free agents come out. Maybe not to Utah, but will hit the market in like, I don't know, 2-3 years when when the cap starts to stabilize, contracts go up to meet it, and then we're going to have more and more free agency. But at the moment, I think it's a good sign with what Ryan and Ashley Smith are building, how the fans are acting and reacting to what the team does on and off the ice, and how there is just this aura of happiness around the team where, it's a brand new, shiny facility, almost one of a kind in the NHL. It shares the facility with the Utah Jazz, which I'm sure is pretty cool. And so you get all of that bundled into one. You get an arena that, everybody says is really loud. Not just Mammoth players, but other players coming into the building, other coaches. Torts said it was one of the loudest he's been in, and he's not one that's prone to hyperbole, so I'll believe him when he says that. And so Utah, free agency destination, that's really weird hearing that, where I've lived here basically my entire life, and I've only had the Utah Jazz and Real Salt Lake to kind of gauge how free agency goes and player signings, and Utah is never at the top of the list. So hopefully this is really good news for what's coming down the rank. And then some more potentially good news. Bleacher Report did a power ranking here recently after the initial wave of free agency happened, obviously after the NHL draft and a bunch of big trades went down. They have Utah in the top 10 in the NHL. Seeing that, seeing them ranked above teams like Edmonton made me pause, because I still think Edmonton is better than Utah right now. Obviously, you got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They also improved their roster overall. So I think Edmonton might sneak in over the line over Utah, but that is pretty much where I would put them, is that 12 to 10 ranking. So that's really awesome to see. And they even made that ranking with the mysteriousness that's going on with Barrett Hayton, and that's really cool. The team's still only going to get better. The young guys are still young. Cooley, Gunther, obviously chief among them. But then there's other young guys that are going to be coming down the pipe, in Iginla and Desnoyers, Smith, guys like that. So the future is bright, but the present is also pretty bright. And when you have potential big names hitting the market across the NHL, whether it's free agency or trade requests, obviously there's still Dylan Larkin out there whose list still hasn't expanded, which if it doesn't, he's just not going to get moved. Steve Yzerman is not the kind of guy that's going to just say, okay, well, I'll do what you want. He's not that kind of GM, so he's not going to move him out. And then, who knows what's going to happen in Toronto? Who knows what's going to happen elsewhere in the NHL? Should a rough season hit and a GM gets fired or a head coach gets fired, the player's unhappy, who knows what's going to happen? But Utah, it seems like with that power ranking, with how everything has been built here, both structurally and with the team, it's a good time to be a Mammoth fan. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, obviously. And then if you're listening to this as a podcast, thank you. Please rate it 5 stars. Leave whatever review you feel is necessary. And I will see you guys in the next one. Tusks up.